Hello, new day later. What we're doing right now is we're taking out these headers. All the bolts are loose. Heat shield is out. I have the car jacked up. Time to get down there and undo my custom little downpipe with that one clamp. Well, EP3 headers are out, and I'm surprised they came out so easily. That was not bad. You can see the difference. These are my new headers. These are I believe these are PLMs. They look really good, but trust me, they used to be very ugly. All I did was I just put clear coat on them so they don't rust like that, and it made it look really good. You can see how much bigger these are. These flow a lot better, and this is quite a massive piece. It already has a downpipe on it, so I can get very creative. I don't have to make an exhaust or, you know, I shouldn't have to do too much work to make these run. But time to put them in. Hello, new day later. I got the headers on, but this car is idling very high. If you cover that hole, it gets nice and quiet. And if you let it go, it's nice, it's all loud. So I think the IAC is dirty. That's how it should be idling, nice and quiet. When I first had the throttle body, I remembered I couldn't really open it up because it had sat for so long. It was pretty seized. So I remember I had to clean the throttle body, like that circle piece, to be able to open, but I never cleaned the IAC. So that IAC might be stuck open, or yeah, I think it's probably stuck open because it's not idling correctly. And when you cover that hole, it quiets down a lot. So we're going to be taking out the throttle body and clean the IAC. So it's just 4 bolts. So here's what I had to do: move the battery, intake's out. Now there's just 2 nuts, one on opposite sides, and then 2 bolts, one there, one there. This thing's ready to basically come off. I need these 3 little plugs. One is on the intake, these 2 on the MAF and the throttle position. This is basically ready to come off. Now, only thing you have to worry about is this one little coolant line. But this thing can come off. So, a few weeks ago, this line was leaking from the bottom. I fixed it. And now look at that. It's leaking from the top. I just can't catch a freaking break. It's so annoying. Alright, but we can at least work on that now. That sucks, man. Look at that. I'm pretty sure because of that stupid hose clamp. So if you're going to use these hose clamps, I recommend you put electrical tape around the hose, just a little bit of protection. It's been a while since I updated you guys, but we have a throttle body. It has 2 Phillips on back here for this little piece right here. Got this thing out. And it has 2 bolts for that sensor. Well, I had to remove this sensor. I didn't have that tool, so what I did was got my angle grinder, made a flat spot like that, then used my flathead. It's an impact flathead, but I didn't even have to hit it. I just twisted it. It came undone. I have anti-seize, so when I put this all together, it'll come off in the future if I ever have to do this. But anyways, I put some alcohol in here and I'm trying to clean it. So this should be able to spin freely. If you look at this, mine's just locked. That is why I took the sensor off, because I need to try to break this loose. I'm gonna keep messing with this, but this should be loose. Little update: I knew they were gonna be locked, and I had a feeling this would not cut it because I remember my throttle body was stuck and I could not break it loose. And what I did was I put brake fluid on the circle. I had dumped brake fluid all around here and I left it for a day. And after that one day, it still wouldn't break loose. So I put a rag over here, got a socket, put it on one side and just tapped it lightly, and it broke loose. So I had a feeling this was gonna get stuck. So what I did was, same thing, we got brake fluid, good old .3, have a little turkey baster. I dumped some in here, put a little bit on that bearing, that's a bearing in there. Now I'm just trying to twist it back and forth little by little. I got it to crack loose a small bit. It's got the littlest movement. This was taking too damn long, so what I did was I got a rag, put on that little cylinder piece, got my cannon locks, held it. Imagine you have 2 hands. So one hand holds the cannon lock, other hand spins this, Go back and forth, little by little, a little harder and harder. And guess what? This baby is free. It's gonna be hard to film with one hand, but look, this baby now spins. It's not free yet. It like, you know, it gets stuck a little, but it's free. Now you can see those little butterflies. You see that? So if I were you, if you guys want to do this, take the sensor out. You don't want to leave it in and just clean it. Take the sensor off. If you don't have that tool and you don't want to buy the tool, get your angle grinder, make a flat spot like that. Boom. Make a flat spot. Use a flathead. Put it on. Twist it off. Don't go too deep. You don't want to fuck up the sensor or something. What I'll be doing for the future is I will be putting anti-seize on those bolts. Use brake cleaner, PB Blast, or whatever lubricant you have. I recommend brake fluid. It gets super strong. It's literally better than PB Blast and WD-40. Put it in that bearing. Put it on those little, you know, down there. Go little by little. If it's really freaking tight, grab some candle lock. Put a rag over the cylinder. Don't bend this thing. Grab it a little bit and twist, twist, twist. But this guy is now pretty loose. I'm just gonna keep messing with it until it's like very free. Here's the finished product. Sensor's back in, not too tight. There's anti-seize in those bolts. It's not perfect, but it's clean enough. It can spin. I'm gonna reuse the gasket because it's not too hard. It's not soft, but not hard. Just put that in place, and then we'll be bolting it up. And I will be putting anti-seize on all of these. So here we have a leak. Because look at that, that is just terrible. So, I'm gonna cut that off with the dikes and wrap it with some electrical tape on the new edge. Because this thing is sharp and it will cut through that. As you can see over here, I put electrical tape on one side, but not the other. So, let's get to it. This is why those hose clamps suck. It just tears into it. Just ruins the hose. And also, this hose is a little too big for what's supposed to be at, but it still shouldn't be this bad. So if you're gonna use one of those aftermarket hose clamps, put electrical tape around it so it doesn't tear into the hose. Boys and girls, so I started a couple minutes ago. It was idling high because it was cold. Oh yeah, I fixed the coolant leak. It was leaking from the top. Now it shouldn't be leaking anymore. It used to leak from the bottom, and we fixed the bottom. Now the top, we fixed the top. Another thing I did for safety, I put electrical tape on that. Oh yeah, we got the new headers on. They make a lot of heat, and I don't like it. But, dude, look how quiet it is. They usually rev stupid high. Look at that. It never idles under the 1. And it's finally idling under 1,000 RPMs. Look, look. Oh, look how low that is. It's a big deal to me because it would always rev to 1,500. And the lowest it would go is maybe a little above the 1,000, but never under 1,000. Wow, that's a big deal. That's awesome. So if your car's idling up and down, clean that throttle body. Clean it good. Remember, take that sensor off and make sure it actually spins freely. I spent a while trying to clean it, but that's awesome. Now it doesn't have to dump so much fuel. Only thing left is the O2. Once that O2 sensor is in, this will be one happy camper. Woo-hoo-hoo. So VTEC doesn't work. And I'm looking at this. I clicked on the VTEC, right? So it seems set up correctly. I'm leaving that alone. Minimum speed for VTEC. My speed sensor doesn't work. I don't care about it. So it was at 6 miles per hour. So I just took it off. I put it to 0. So maybe now my VTEC will work. Hopefully. And also I changed the tune to the K20 Es1 flash K20 Es1, if that makes sense. And now I'm gonna save this. Hopefully my car now works correctly. Alright, let's see. been a while later, but I made yet another exhaust because the last one, it was leaking. It wasn't too good. It had 2 leaks. One back here because that where the flanges, well, there's no gasket, so it had a big leak. I forgot to put duct tape, so I put duct tape on it now. And over here, I clammed it way better. Also, I welded over here. I cut the piping, changed the angle a little bit, and now the exhaust is sitting a lot higher and a lot happier. So I might start with putting this guy down a little bit. Look at that, didn't even move. Now this one. Wow, look at that, it didn't even move, it stayed up. I'm very proud of how this exhaust came out. I love making exhausts. My fender, here's the back. I used some good old duct tape. That's just a good gasket. But I love it. Let's drop it and see how it sounds. Because before it was really loud and I hated it. It had a massive exhaust leak in the front, so very annoying. And then over here, it also had that little leak. It pissed me off. So let's see how it sounds now. Doesn't sound bad back here. But I feel like I can almost hear something up here. So let's see. Let's give it a rev. Oh yeah, it's nice and quiet now. Let's look under the hood. So under the hood, battery doesn't really fit because it's angled straight over here. Usually on the K20 Es1 or the PRB intake manifold, this would be straight, not crooked. But since it's the RBC, it is a little crooked. So I need to modify this piping a little. I might cut it, put a coupler to be able to angle it how I want. And another thing, still leaking coolant back there. So I'm gonna tie that hose clamp. If you look, there's a little puddle. Oh, here's the R section intake. Cut up, and now I can get creative. Bam! That's how the intake is. I ended up actually just cutting it once and using one coupler. And it fits pretty nicely on there. The only problem is that hose can't really go on here because it's pointing straight up. But very happy with how that fits. New headers are on. They work fine. This car is a lot better on gas now because I hooked up the O2 sensor. So putting that O2 sensor on helped so much. Now the car just feels a little bit slower, but it just needs to get tuned. And unfortunately, I'm still not hitting VTEC. But she's working good. Intake fits great. New headers are on. Putting that O2 sensor improved the MPGs. It idles better. So this car is just coming along. This car is awesome.